Peace, light, and love, family. This is your girl, Ada, once again coming to you here live in the living color with Chickasha Rising for another informative topic and video. Peace, light, and love to everyone out there again on this Saturday. I hope that everyone is enjoying their day and seeing the writing on the wall. I want to first start out by saying those of you who are new to the channel, please like, please subscribe. We definitely appreciate the love and the support. And getting this message out to the royal tribes of America, which are the true indigenous tribes of Amaruka, the Amarus. Now, you've got thousands and thousands of different tribes that encompassed this great continent, both North, South, and Central America, including the islands of the sea, who were indeed and in fact were copper-colored people. So-called black people dodged the hijack, and we're going to be dodging a lot of the hijacks in this this article and information that's come out now. All of this action, I wanted to talk about Negro Mountain. I wanted to dive deep into Negro Mountain and talk about it and, shed more light on it, because we know as we start to wake up into our true nationalities, our true tribes, they're going to try even harder to hide the information that is out there for individuals to self-identify with the particular landmass that they are on, the particular plane that they are on, to know that indeed they are the land. We are the land. We are the soil. We come from the soil. All right. Our skin, our genetic makeup, everything coincides with this land here in America. Now, talking about Negro Mountain. Now, this occurred back in April, where the Maryland State Highway Administration took down a total of 4 signs. They took them down in April. Now, they said that they took them down after complaints that, quote unquote, Negro Mountain were signs were racially insensitive. Now, we know that that's not true. We know that they want to take everything away. They want to take everything as far as the memory of us being here first, before the hijack, before the $5 Indian, before these European professional squatters and thieves came to our shores. Now, according to the Baltimore Sun, the signs with elevation information for Negro Mountain, a portion of the Allegheny, I don't know how to say this word, I may be butchering it, Allegheny Mountains that stretches from Maryland to Pennsylvania, have been taken down by the State Highway Administration. Yeah, we know why. A spokeswoman from the agency said the action was taken in April over concerns of racial insensitivity. Bullshit. I'm calling bullshit on this. They want to hide everything that connects us to this land. They want to hide everything that shows who the true Indian is, and we know who the true indigenous Aboriginal Indian is, and that is the so-called Negro. In all, 4 signs were removed. 2 were previously placed along Interstate 68 and the others on U.S. alternate Route 40. The Cumberland Times News first reported on the missing signs and spoke with the people affiliated with the Maryland Department of Transportation Highway Administration. One of the community liaison was unclear why the signs had been removed, but Laura Rakowski, acting director of the agency's Office of Communications, explained that it was done in the community's interests. How do you speak for the community, Laura Rakowski? How do you speak for a whole population of people? Was this voted upon? Was it brought to the actual peoples that lived in that area? Anyway, I digress. It says we continue to work with the Association for the Study of African American Life and History and the local community to better understand the interests of all stakeholders. We understand exactly what this interest is, and we know who it benefits by them removing these signs. Does it not benefit the State Department? Does it not benefit the Transportation Highway Administration for taking this information down? Yeah, that's who it benefits. It's not for the people and the real people that were there. Rukowski said in an email to the Cumberland News. Though the origin of the mountain's name, they're saying, is debatable. Two well circulated theories include, listen to this story, listen how dumb this sounds, include the heroic death of a black man during a fight with American Indians during the French and Indian War. Now, dodge the hijack. It could be one or two things. Now, we know psychologically and critically in our minds that there were $5 Indians who came over here, hijacked our lands, took over our ancestors' lands and farms and things like that, and put their name on it, got their names on the dolls' rolls, and that was that, making it more difficult for the so-called Negro to claim exactly who and what he was, all right? And they replaced it with colored, coming from the copper colored identity of the American Indians, which can be defined in the 1828 Webster's Dictionary. Now, they're saying that it was the death of a black man during a fight with American Indians. So you got two so-called Negroes fighting amongst each other. Now, we do know that there were tribal wars amongst the tribes here in America. Still to this day, we have got black people fighting black people. All right, so that makes sense. A black man during the fight with American Indians who were also black during the French and Indian War. Now, you had individuals who were a part of that war and different tribes that were a part of that war. Some were fighting for the French, some were fighting for the English, and other people were just probably trying to defend their homelands. Now, they're saying a black frontiersman was killed here. Really? What's this black frontiersman's name? They never mention it. A black frontiersman was killed here by fighting Indians with Maryland frontiersman Thomas Cresap in the 1750s. Now, this so-called black frontiersman wasn't a black frontiersman at all. He was a chief. This black frontiersman was nothing more or nothing less than Chief Nemacolin. Chief Nemacolin of the Delaware Nation. He was a warrior who fought off the English and other Indian tribes to defend his land. And there's also another story stating that it could be that other Indian chiefs and Indian peoples were fighting against this chief, Nemacolin, because he was helping Thomas Cresap. Now, we're going to go into detail about who Thomas Cresap is and who he represented in this whole entire war and this whole scheme and scandal. Now, they're saying there's stuff out there to saying that Chief Nemacolin helped Thomas Cresap expand the settlers' land, these invaders' land, these squatters' lands, all the way down into the Ohio Valley. Now, you know, this makes sense. So this black frontiersman that they're saying was indeed an American Indian. Dodge the hijack. We have to see through the sleaze. We've got to see through the lies. Now, it states that, you know, oh, this black frontiersman was killed while fighting Indians with Maryland frontiersman Cresap in the 1750s, reads a marker near the mountain. It says, legend tells us that he had a premonition of his death. In his honor, they named these mountains after him. Dodge your hijack. Dodge your own hijack. We have got to see this for what it is. They are trying to confuse us. They are trying to manipulate us. And they're lying about this shit. But we see. We know. We know this. Now, we're going to dig in deep here talking about Thomas Cresap and who this invader was. Thomas Cresap was an English professional invader. He was also a squatter in the states of Maryland and Pennsylvania. Cresap served as an agent. The question that we should ask ourselves is, who was he a servant? Who was he an agent to? We should be asking ourselves this. Now, in the Maryland-Pennsylvania boundary dispute, he's the reason why this war happened, the Cresap War. Him wanting to come in, squat, take over the land, and kill the people. And those nations in that area weren't having it. So this is why this happened because you had a lot of the different tribes, the Iroquois, the Seneca, all those different tribes in that area. Some were partnered with the French, some were partnered with the English. And so when this guy came over there trying to put his feet down and say this is happening, the French got upset, and the American Indians, we got upset. And so there was a war that happened. Now, they want to really sugarcoat this guy, Thomas Cresap. Look this guy up. He was an agent of the Ohio Company. Now, I'll go into detail about that. Now, they really paint this Thomas Cresap character as a traitor, as an explorer, but in fact, he was a rapist, a thief, an opportunist, a professional invader, a squatter, and a criminal who came over here taking over our ancestors' lands. Now, he worked for the Ohio Company. The Ohio Company is formerly known as the Ohio Company of Virginia, originated by these same folk that took over Virginia, these professional invaders and squatters and criminals from Europe, both black and white alike. Remember, we had Black Europeans, white Europeans, and the Africans who were also white. And then you had some who were black, but the majority of them were white. They came over here with this, from the Virginia Company to trade with the Aboriginals of this area here, these mountains. And the company had got a land grant from Britain and had a treaty with some of our ancestors in that area. So see, they don't dig deep. They don't dig deep at all as the real story as to why all this stuff is happening. And there's an agenda. There's an agenda to erase us from this land. But the land cries out, we are the land is us. And the information is there. And the ancestors will speak to you, and you will put the puzzles together, the puzzle pieces together. That's exactly what it is. But we've got to dodge the hijack. Now, it's really unfortunate that this happened in regards to these signs being misplaced. There's a lot of other horrible things that they honor in this particular establishment and corporation that they should have took down. But no, they're keeping it up. They want to take this down because it signifies and talks about who those people were at Negro Mountain. Why? Let's use critical thinking skills here. Why would you name a mountain, Negro Mountain, after African slaves that you brought here from a whole different landmass? History teaches us, our story teaches us that when these invaders and professional criminals came here, they renamed a lot of shit. They renamed it after themselves, but they also renamed it after the things that they encountered during that particular time. Whether it was people, whether it was natural phenomena, it could have been anything. But these individuals renamed a lot of shit. They renamed it and named it Negro Mountain because of the tribes and peoples that were there, that surrounded that mountain, that surrounded that landmass. That's why they called it Negro Mountain, because of its people and what they found when they got here. Dodge the hijack. We are the true indigenous American Indians of this land. Now, a man by the name of Lynn Bowman, an African American author, dodged the hijack, who written on a history of this area, told Times lynchings, told Times News that a third theory attributes to the name to the area being a former place of African American lynchings. Though she added, it's unlikely. Okay, we can't cast that out because we know that they scalped our ancestors, scalped them, skinned them, lynched them. All right, so we're not going to put that out there. It could be. This last theory could be because they took our ancestors, they scalped them, took their scalps, skinned them, and hung them. And they kept the scalps as a trophy. And it says, regardless of how Negro Mountain received its name, it seems doubtful that the signs marking its elevation will reappear. I have heard both stories, but I've never seen corroborating facts to support either and would be interested to know more, says Cloric Jackson, creator of the Brownsville Project, an initiative to elevate the forgotten Black community of Frostburg, Maryland. Dodge the hijack. The forgotten American Indian communities and villages of Frostburg, Maryland, shared with the Times News by email. In my opinion, the name Negro Mountain is antiquated. I'd love to see the community use transformative justice to choose a new name that helps us remember Blacks in Appalachia. Dodge your home hijack. Now, we know that the people of Appalachia, those mountains there, were indeed Aboriginals, copper-colored Indians of that land. They were Indians. They weren't Black. They weren't African. They weren't whatever you want to call it. Our ancestors didn't know what Black was. All right? They didn't know any of these names that they've given us. We were divided by lands, tribes, languages, culture, and who we were. All right? But there's an agenda to hide the true identity of the so-called Negro, which is the American Indian of this land. Don't it make sense? We are the only people in this land whose identity has been hijacked and changed over and over and over again. You want to know why that is? Because they want to hide your identity. First, they called the people of this land, the indigenous people of this land and Brazil, Negro. Then they changed it to colored. Then they changed it to Black. They changed it to Afro-American. And now here we are today. People are saying that they are African American. 2 continents. Doesn't make sense. Hey, when these invaders and immigrants, both with an I and an E, come to our countries, they come here with a nationality. They come here with their names, their language, their culture, their landmass, and everything. But we are the only people who seem to have not put all the pieces together to understand and know and understand why they don't have a nationality or a tribe or a lineage into which they belong, but they do. And one must research that to find that out. You can't take a DNA test. DNA tests are null and void. They are for entertainment purposes only and not adequate information given through those DNA tests. The guy is on the record for saying that, oh yeah, we group them all together and that's how we get them. Check this, and if you don't believe me, look it up. DNA is not to be trusted. It has been tampered with to make it seem like every so-called Black person is from Africa. That is not true. If that's the case, hell, Chinese and Japanese are the same, aren't they? The Russian and the English are the same people, right? Just because they look alike don't mean that they're from the same tribes. Just because they feature and have similarities feature-wise don't mean that they are the same people, the same skin tone. They don't mean that they are all the same. We need to stop allowing these $5 Indians and administrators and Black leaders identify who we are and stop with the generalizations. But that's all that I have here for today, family. I hope that everyone enjoys their Saturday peace, light, and love. And definitely, brothers and sisters, if you've got any information in regards to Negro Mountain, please post it in the link below. I'd love to see more information on it, but that is what I found and found out. If you have extra information, please share. It's all about uplifting one another and educating ourselves on the lost and stolen story of our ancestors. Peace, light, and love.